You know, I wasn't planning on talking about the Loki TV show. I was definitely very interested in it when I first heard about it, and I was getting very excited as I waited for it. However, then I watched episode 1, and in my opinion, that's a very slow and clumsy episode. It's definitely full of a lot of comedy and introducing a lot of new ideas, but it also belittles our main character. It is supposed to make him look weak, but it's kind of like every time he wants to be the character that we know him as, the show is making fun of him for it. Which, within the show, makes some sense, but as a viewer, I think it's a little mean-spirited when they do it that much. So then you have the second episode where you learn about what his goal is going to be, and he kind of ends up becoming sort of a normal guy within episode 2. He is like trying to escape a little bit or learn a little bit more information, but for the most part, he is a company man in a way. And, they play off some comedy bits with that angle a little bit. And then the end of the episode reveal happens, and oh my gosh, there's a girl counterpart, which kind of just got me confused at that point as to why that was like a big reveal. It's like, okay, yeah, I was assuming Loki was going to be a guy, but it feels a little cheap for it to just be a girl. Like, they could have made him anything, as you see later in the series. Like, it could have just been anything. Their outfit could have been anything. Their appearance could have been anything. They could have had like an eye patch, no hair, a super powerful sword in their hand or something. I guess they, at the end of the day, didn't want to stray too far away from the original Loki idea. This person isn't drastically not Loki. She's kind of very much the same character, at least from a different point in his life. But it kind of, once again, made me a little bit question about the future of the show. So I kind of took a little bit of a break for a few weeks. And this is where I have to wonder if this show is just far more of a binging show, just a big movie premiere event type of story, rather than a TV show. Because from there, I watched the next 3 episodes back to back. And episode 3 is kind of meandering. It's just the two Lokis getting to know each other, and you get to see how different and similar they are. Favorite part was seeing the original Loki get really cavalier with what the plan is supposed to be while they're in the train. He just starts drinking with everybody. It's a really good time, but it almost felt not within his character, which is why it also felt like we were learning that he's kind of becoming a little bit unhinged as to what his plan overall is. Like, even if he wants to kill the timekeepers, if he runs into other Lokis that he kind of respects in a way, what's he going to do with the rest of them that he meets? And he just doesn't know. He parties and doesn't think about it, basically. Or anything for that matter in that episode. And so episode 3 just kind of is the downtime in a way. And so when you get to episode 4 and you're getting some minor reveals about the TVA, I started thinking about how little I care about the TVA overall and how the TVA was becoming a bit of an obsolete part of the plot. Like, they definitely were important, but they were hindering the protagonists in a not fun way, in a not very interesting way. It's like sending the characters to prison, and the characters have to be like, well, I can't do anything, so guess I'll wait around and try to learn some more information, I guess. And as that episode progresses, major things happen because people end up getting taken to the void, and they have a good reveal at the end. A few good reveals at the end of episode 4, actually. Definitely felt like the opposite of episode 3 in terms of what was happening and where it was happening and how it was happening. And so I feel like episode 4 ended up being what felt like the beginning of what actually was interesting, kind of. Because then you get to episode 5, and this is exactly what you've been waiting for. There's no problems. You get everything that had been promised, basically, from the series. And it has so many references to the comic books and stuff that you would just not even think about would be what Loki is about. And yeah, you just get a true multiverse experience of possibilities. I just really like that episode so much. Probably one of the best pieces of Marvel entertainment of the last 10 years, in my opinion. Better than a lot of parts from Endgame and Infinity War. And then you have the last episode, and this is where I was a little unclear whether I wanted to even make this video. Because it did what I expected, and a few things that I wasn't expecting, with the themes going the way I thought they were going to go, because Loki is beginning to find somebody he trusts, and woman Loki being just stuck in her vendetta. It's very unsurprising, especially based on what we know the MCU is headed for. But just in general, you just know that she couldn't just reject everything that her life has been leading up to, even if basic logic would make you think that she should be thinking twice before doing anything. And so then you get to this final character. I don't recall what they called him, but I'll just call him the Time Lord, even though he's just a normal human being, apparently, supposedly, sort of, even though he's very old. I guess he's got like a time stop on him. And it's really funny. He shows up, and immediately I didn't like him at all. He's doing stuff that is a little too off the wall. Like, it very much felt like a character straight from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Mostly, of course, the what's his name? The Tau guy. I don't remember his name, but the guy who wrote the book within the story. I mostly mean, of course, the movie, but whatever. But yeah, it just feels like a character that's partially self-aware and has different priorities than you would think anybody ever should. And, that was fine, kind of. Obviously this is supposed to be the most important figure ever that they were building up to. And I knew it wasn't going to be a Thanos or what the version of the Time Lords was shown from in episode 4. But I was hoping for somebody with a little more of a unique perspective or personality. And to be fair, he's kind of hiding his dread of the future and interest of the future all at the same time with humor. And he's just joking around. And he's like, I know everything's going to happen until the moment when he's done. He can no longer see the future. Which, by itself should make you think, well, if he can't see the future, doesn't that mean he dies here? What's the alternative? Because if he didn't die, then why would this be the moment that he ceases to see the future, right? So anyway, you can go into a whole bunch of self-fulfilling prophecy type of stuff, but the point is that what happens at the end, and you know that everything's going to be off the scales, off the charts of what is possible from now on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In my opinion, this is like the beginning of the multiverse saga, if the previous saga would be called the Infinity Stone saga. The multiverse saga, of course, I think is going to be reined in by the Doctor Strange movie. Like, right now it's just complete crazy mayhem chaos. But I think that Doctor Strange is going to get it at least a little bit under control. That's my guess. But to be fair, there's a lot in that movie that I've heard that it could go any direction. Like, are the X-Men going to be introduced this way? I mean, it seems pretty likely. But, you know, if X-Men get introduced, you'd have to kind of introduce them in a cosmic way, because we're already doing space stuff, and X-Men aren't really into doing space stuff usually. So, you know, there's just too many possibilities, of course, from here. But as a whole, I think Loki does a good job of setting up and destroying the existing world building that we have gotten used to. Even if, you know, we never knew about the TVA or the Time Lords before, it was like, yeah, this makes sense based on, again, how they explained it. And then there were a few things that they showed at the end of the series that makes me kind of just wonder why they even bothered showing it. Like, they made it pretty obvious that the AI clock kid CGI character, like, it knew more of what was going on than most people thought, which isn't too surprising. I mean, it's an AI that's existed for millions of years, so, like, duh. But also, like, okay, we don't know what happens to him at the end. You know, maybe he's still just working for the Time Lord at the end of the day, so he was the only one that knew what was going on. But then on top of that, he gives some information to the director of the TVA, that woman, and we don't know what information he gave her, and we don't know why it would be, like, relevant. Like, why would it matter anything that you give her for the future of the series, since there's going to be so many multiverses? I get the feeling like we're going to end up going with a situation where they introduce characters multiple times, and you have to figure out which one's the prime version, and maybe there's only like 7 versions. Like, every other version gets killed off, but there's like 7 main universes, or I should say multiverses, that are able to overcome the rest of the multiverses. So there's like 7 timelines or multiverses, whichever one you want to call it. I'm not exactly sure. I think it'd be like a timeline. I think it'd be like there's 4 timelines that are competing with each other, rather than infinite or thousands. And again, I think this is where Doctor Strange is going to come into it and simplify things, hopefully. But I definitely advise that you watch it, even if you're not even a Marvel fan. Like, as long as you're a fan of sci-fi, I think you'd be pretty interested in what they bring up. And even if you don't understand the references are by themselves, without context, still pretty fun to watch. Pretty over-the-top silliness. There's the crocodile. There's some other stuff. But yeah, I'm really liking where the series is going. Funnily enough, I would like to mention that there is another series that kind of went the multiverse route, which is called Fate Grand Order. Yeah, Fate Grand Order. Yeah, you should really check this game out. It's really good. It's basically the same exact idea as Marvel, except imagine all the Marvel heroes were historical figures from the past. And the gameplay is turn-based, and the story is told in visual novel style. But I think you should really check it out. It's a very similar type of story. If you like Loki, I think you would like Fate Grand Order. Of course, it's got a lot of anime stuff, but you know, whatever. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please support me on Patreon. Please check out my Twitch channel. Thanks for watching. See you guys later.